No one on Earth heard the Veyra scream. Their planet, Veyra-Prime, was 27 light-years away, and the light of its death took 27 years to crawl across the void. When the images finally reached the deep space telescopes in 2149, the event was already ancient history. But the footage was unmistakable. A fleet of matte black wedges, angular and lightless, descended on the Veyra homeworld like locusts. The Veyra had been humanity's first and only true friend among the stars. They were gentle, bioluminescent cephalopods the size of city buses, who spoke in color and song, who taught us faster-than-light mathematics before we had even settled Mars. They gave us the coil drive out of kindness, not trade. In return, we promised them protection once we were strong enough to give it. We were not strong enough. The black ships did not negotiate. They did not broadcast demands. They simply opened fire with weapons that turned atmosphere into glass and oceans into steam. In 6 hours, the Veyra were extinct. The last transmission humanity received was a single burst of shifting violet and gold, an apology. They were sorry they would not live to see us bloom. The enemy never identified itself. The ships carried no insignia, no registry, no biology. Probes sent to the ruins of Veyra-Prime found only silence, and a single carved glyph burned into the crust 1,000 kilometers wide, a circle bisected by a descending blade. The press called them the Reapers. The military called them Priority Zero. Children called them the Dark Cutters. And humanity, for the first time in its fractured history, agreed on one thing. They had killed our allies. Now we would kill them back. The long hunt. The war that followed did not begin with bugles or declarations. It began in shipyards. Luna became a forge. The asteroid belt became a quarry. Every nation on Earth suspended old grudges and poured GDP into the same black hole labeled Project Vengeance. We built ships that looked nothing like the graceful white explorers of the early Coalition days. These were wolves. Long, serrated, gray. They carried no names at first, only hull numbers. Later, crews gave them names anyway. Remember Veyra, Last Apology, Violet Debt, 6 hours. Admiral Ji-hoon Park was placed in command of the 1st Retribution Fleet. He was 73, half his body replaced by carbon weave after a training accident in 2121, and he had one rule taped above his station on the dreadnoughts: they were kind. We do not stop until the circle end blade is ash. For 12 years we chased ghosts. Reaper sightings were rare, always the same pattern. A garden world or a young ally species found cored and lifeless, the glyph carved into whatever was left. They hit the Dyson Accord in 2154. They erased the methane-breathing philosophers of Kale, 9 in 2157. Each time they vanished before our fleets could arrive. Their drives left no wake, their weapons no radiation signature. They were faster, cleaner, crueler. We learned by bleeding. In 2161, the CNS Last Apology cornered a single Reaper frigate near Proxima Centauri after a 9-month stalk. The battle lasted 43 seconds. The Reaper carved the Apology in half, but not before Lieutenant Aisha Singh rammed an experimental coil lance warhead down its throat. The explosion lit Proxima red for a week. When the wreckage drifted cold, salvage teams found something new. The inside of a Reaper ship was not metal. It was meat. Black, fibrous, lightless meat threaded with silver veins that still twitched when exposed to vacuum. They were not machines piloted by aliens. They were living weapons. Something had grown them. The discovery broke morale in some places and set it on fire in others. Dr. Marisol Ortega, xenobiologist attached to Fleet Intelligence, delivered the briefing that changed everything. "They are antibodies," she said, voice shaking. "Something out there thinks garden worlds are infections. The Reapers are the immune response." The room was silent. "Then we are going to teach the body a lesson about cancer," Admiral Park replied. "We built bigger wolves." In 2166, humanity cracked the secret of phased void shields by reverse engineering fragments of Reaper fleshhole. In 2168, we weaponized dark energy shear. In 2170, the 2nd Retribution Fleet, 300 ships strong,
jumped into the Ophiuchus cluster chasing a mass shadow that matched Reaper Wake's signatures. We found their hive. It was not a planet. It was a Dyson Sphere made of the same black meat, 2 astronomical units across, wrapped around a dead red dwarf. The surface crawled. Tendrils 1,000 kilometers long waved like kelp in vacuum tides. And at the equator, carved so deep it pierced the shell itself, was the circle end blade glyph, glowing white-hot. Admiral Park gave the order, without hesitation. All ships fire. The Battle of the Corp Star. They woke up angry. Reaper ships poured from pores the size of continents. 10,000. 50,000. More than humanity had ever built. They moved like a swarm of hornets, silent and perfectly coordinated. Our void shields flared violet under the onslaught. Coil lances carved glowing scars across living hulls that healed almost as fast as we cut them. We died in job lots. The dreadnought CNS 6 Hours was boarded by Reaper biotroopers, spindly black things with too many joints and blades for fingers. The crew sealed the bridge and vented plasma through the corridors. The last log from Captain Rachel Nguyen was calm. Tell my daughter the stars are still beautiful. But we had learned something in 20 years of being prey. Antibodies have no imagination. Humanity does. Dr. Ortega's strike team, escorted by the battered cruiser Cis Violet Det, fought its way to the inner shell. They carried a weapon no one had dared name until it was ready, the Ortega Cascade, a dark energy feedback bomb tuned to the exact resonance of Reaper flesh. One device, the size of a city block, designed to teach living tissue what necrosis feels like on a planetary scale. They planted it against the inner wall of the sphere, directly beneath the glowing glyph. Reaper antibodies swarmed them. Ortega triggered the timer herself, then turned to the Marine holding the detonator. 30 seconds, she said. Go. He hesitated. That's an order, Corporal. He ran. Security footage shows Dr. Ortega standing alone beneath the circle end blade, coat flapping in the wind of escaping atmosphere. She raised her middle finger toward the glyph with both hands, smiling like a woman who had waited her entire life for this moment. The cascade went off. For one perfect instant, the entire Dyson Sphere lit up from the inside, every vein and artery burning white. Then it folded. Not exploded, folded, like paper crushed in a fist. The red dwarf at its heart winked out. 2 astronomical units of living horror collapsed into a gravitational wound that took 30 Reaper seed ships with it before the rift sealed. When the light faded, there was nothing left but a new asteroid belt of frozen black meat and the faint echo of a woman's laughter on tight beam. Ending. The silence after. The Reapers never came again. Scout ships sent to former Reaper hunting grounds found abandoned carving glyphs, half-finished, cooling. No new extinction events. No black wedges blotting out stars. Only silence. Humanity did not celebrate. We were too tired, and there were too many empty chairs at every table. We rebuilt what we could. The Tess and Accord survivors were given new worlds in the Orion Arm. KL-9's last data cubes were decrypted and their poetry translated into every human language. On Earth, the Veyra Memorial rose in the Pacific, a living reef of gene-edited coral that glowed in shifting violet and gold every night, singing in frequencies only whales and children could hear. Admiral Park retired the day the last Reaper signal went dark. He spent his remaining years on Luna, tending a small hydroponic garden of Veyra memory plants, transgenic ferns that changed color when you spoke to them. Reporters asked if the war was truly over. He always gave the same answer. They came for our allies, he would say, pruning a glowing frond. We came for revenge. The ledger is balanced. Now we make sure no one ever has to balance it again. In 2190, the 3rd Retribution Fleet, now renamed the Guardians, was dispatched to the galactic core. Their mission was no longer vengeance. It was vaccination. Because Dr. Ortega had been right. Somewhere out there was a body that thought intelligence was a disease. If it ever woke up again, humanity would be ready with antibodies of our own. We kept one piece of the Corp Star in a vault beneath Geneva, a single plate of black flesh, still faintly warm,
the circle and blade glyph etched across it. Every year on the anniversary of Veyra-Prime's fall, the president of the United Earth Sphere and the first speaker of the new Dyson Accord stand before it and read the same words. They were kind. We remember. Try it again, and we will not stop at one sphere. Then they turn the lights off and let the glyph go dark. Out in the void, human ships prowl the night with new names painted on their hulls. Not wolves anymore. Guard dogs. And they are very, very good at their job. The stars are quiet now. But they listen.